Hello everyone, Mopar Dad 84 here, and what did the BBK Throttle Body do to my Challenger? Well, it dropped my 0 to 60 time from 5.7 seconds to 5.0 seconds, 5 seconds flat. And if you've watched my videos, you know I've mentioned that I wanted to get to where I can run with the 5.7 Hemi. There's not a big gap in performance if you've researched the cars. The 5.7 Hemi makes 375 horsepower and the V6 makes 305. So you've got a 70 horsepower gap. So it's not a whole lot, especially considering with the Hemi you get an extra 500 pounds to carry around, 400 to 500 pounds heavier than the V6, which is also a heavy car. So when you consider the extra weight that it carries, the power advantage drops dramatically. So it's still got a power advantage, stock versus stock, but it's not as big as you would think. So when I decided to get the V6, I weighed the options of getting the V8 and if it was worth it. And I looked at the numbers of the stock V6 is a 6.20 to 60 and a 14.6 second quarter mile. And I was like, that's a quick car. I grew up always into cars. My whole thought world revolved around cars. In career day, I wanted to be an ASC certified mechanic. And when I was going to school back then, they were making over $30 an hour, for an ASC certified mechanic. And so it's always been about cars for me. So, I research, cars all the time. I keep up with Camaros and Mustangs as well. It's not just Mopars. And, the point I'm getting at is, for the longest time, V8s weren't pushing 300 horsepower. I've followed cars all my life. I've been into sports cars and fast cars, exotic cars all my life, and this could beat some exotic cars and from the early 90s, and beat muscle cars from the 90s and the early 2000s with V8s. So I mean, to knock on the V6 would be to knock on the muscle cars from the 90s, from the early 2000s that had big V8s that didn't make 300 horsepower. So a lot of the reason that I got the V6 was actually because of the hate, and the people are just uneducated as to how much 300 horsepower is. That's quite a bit of power. And it's, just from stock, and of course I've modified it. That's how I got the number down. But 300 horsepower is a good number. Anything above that, right there or above, is going to be a quick car. Obviously, it's not going to be slow. A 300 horsepower sports car will beat a 400 horsepower truck all day long. Why is that? Well, it's a big, huge weight difference, and a sports car is made to go fast. A truck's really not. There's quick trucks out there, but they're not really made for racing or anything like that. So your base model V6s, especially nowadays, are real legit cars. And like I said, I'm a Mopar guy, but I keep up with the Camaros and the Mustangs and everything too. That's your competition, so you should keep up with that as well. And it actually came down to, I even debated possibly getting the Camaro or the Mustang because of the weight of this car. But I didn't think about it too long, because the styling of the Challenger is way better, in my opinion, than the Mustang and the Camaro, and neither one of them look bad. They look good as well, but the Challenger just, to me, looks the best. And that coupled with the fact that the Challenger seats 5. I like the interior, I like the exterior, I like everything about the car. I don't like that ABS light is on and that traction control. That's just, I gotta change a sensor or figure out what the heck that's coming on for. I've noticed in other people's videos when they changed the exhaust that came on, I don't know what the heck that would have anything to do with the exhaust. If you know why it would do that by just changing the exhaust. Leave me some info down in the comments. I would like that. Also, anybody that's got a V6 or V8, what mods they've done to their cars. You know, that 5 second 0 to 60 time is quicker. That's quicker than a rated time for the Hemi, the RT. Like I said, I wanted to match that car in performance, and I've already beat it with three little mods. Cold air intake, K&N cold air intake. I have the Typhoon, that's what they call it, the aluminum one, K&N intake. I've got 2 Flowmaster Super 44s under the car, and the BBK Throttle Body. That's it. 3 mods. 3 mods on the 3.6 liter Pentastar V6, and I'm running a faster 0 to 60, which would mean I will beat an RT Hemi, 5.7 liter Hemi, on the street, stoplight to stoplight, 0 to 60, 8th mile, easily. I'll beat that car every time. Now, that being said, you know, as I said in other videos, I'm not picking on the Hemi. I used to have the 5.7 Hemi in the pickup truck. It's a good engine. It's just a little weak for a sports car nowadays, because you look at the Mustang, it's a 5.0 and it puts 460 horsepower out, and the 5.7's 375. You know, so I mean, if it put out a bigger number, it might have been harder for me to pick the V6 over that. I wasn't gonna pay the money for the scat pack, you know, to get, you know, a tremendous amount of performance. And then after driving the V6, you know, it's got a good bit of power itself, so it's not a slouch by any means. I mean, that was the very first run, that 5 second 0 to 60. That was my first run with the new throttle body on. That's the first pull I did. You can see it sounds nice. The throttle body added to the sound of the exhaust, added to the intake sound. I mean, I totally recommend that part. Is it worth it? Yes, definitely. I was surprised at the performance that thing did. Now, that being said, that 5.70 to 60 that I previously had, it could have been quicker, but as I had stated in the videos, I'm having trouble with the wheel spin. Even when the traction control is on and those lights ain't on, because they go out. I don't know why they go out and come back on, you know, but I'm gonna have to change some sensors maybe or whatever. But anyways, even with traction control on, I'm having trouble with the wheel spinning. So I got a 5.7 because I went half throttle to about 10-15 mile an hour, then went full throttle. That's the only way I could get a good launch, and I got a 5.7. If I could have floored it right from the start, obviously my number would have been quicker. So I didn't drop just 0.7 seconds just because of the throttle body, but it did definitely make a big difference. It's a lot of the reason why the number dropped that far. But part of it is because I got a good launch. When I hit that 0 to 60 and 5 flat, the tires hooked up, you know. So, and again, 3 mods. Anybody can do it. You got the V6 SXT, cold air intake, exhaust, and get on her a little bit here. She really pulls when she get the RPMs up a little bit. Right there, I started from a pretty low RPM, and still got gone pretty quick. You know, sounds great. But where was I? But yeah, I was saying, if you got a V6, if you got the Pentastar, and you know you want to pull, you know, the numbers that I am, it's not nothing hard. It's not nothing tricky. I do have the track pack, so I think I've heard that you got a little bit better gears in the track pack, so that's an advantage that I'd have there. But other than that, all I have is the K&N cold air intake, BBK throttle body, 78 millimeter. You got to go up. It goes up 5 millimeters bigger than the stock, and then I've got the 2 Flowmaster Super 44s. And if you got the Hemi, if you got the RT, if you got the Hemi, it sounds like from videos I've seen, a lot of people are having trouble getting under 6 seconds 0 to 60s in that time in that car, and the reason is wheel spin. So the first thing, if you want to, if you want to hit that 5.1 seconds that it's rated at, just better tires and you'll be there probably. But with the stock tires, it doesn't seem like you're gonna really hit that number. So if you got the RT, better tires, bigger, wider tires on the back, and stickier tires, it would be your first best mod. And especially if you have the Scat Pack, because those cars got a lot of torque. You don't want, it's fun to spin the tires, it looks cool, it's nice leaving them black strips, but if you're going up against a car that can just put it down and go, you're gonna lose, unless you can catch them in the quarter mile. If you're doing take off spinning like crazy, that car's gonna be gone and you're gonna be left there spinning. That's not gonna be fun, so looks cool laying the strips, but tires are expensive, and me personally, I'd rather get going quicker, so it's on what you want. But if you want that quick 0 to 60 time and improve your quarter mile times, if you've got those, the 5.7 Hemi or the 6.4 Hemi, your first mod should be tires. We're slow down here and see if we can take off. I'm not gonna be able to floor it because it's gonna spin. It's spun a little bit there. As you can see, it's not nothing slow. That's with me not being able to really put it down because it's liking to spin. I have no traction control right now because that stupid light's on. So that's half throttle and then getting into it when it half to 3/4 throttle, and then rest of the way to the floor once I get rolling a little bit. Really has its power mostly in the 4,000 to 6,000 RPM range, but it starts coming on pretty good at 3, but mostly it's in between the 4 and the 6. And I got power paddle shifters, of course, so I can put the power where, I can keep it in the higher RPMs. So all in all, if you like the look of the Challenger, don't be dismayed by the, don't be put off because you can't afford the Scat Pack or, something like that. The V6 has got plenty of power for most people. Especially if you mod it a little bit, it doesn't take much. I've dropped my 0 to 60 tremendously. I'm just gonna roll into it a little bit here. And I find myself having to let off because it'll eclipse, the 60, 70, 80, 100 mile an hour quick. It's not, you can't really get into it and stay into it very long. That's why I say, nothing against it. If you want the V8, get it, but you're going to pay a lot higher insurance. And do you really need it? I don't think most people need it. The V6 is going to be quicker than most people have ever, experienced. So if you're looking at the V6, Challenger, Camaro, or the Mustang is a turbo 4-cylinder. They're all over 300 horsepower from the start, and then it's not going to be that hard to bring that number up. There's lots of aftermarket bolt-on mods that you can do to these cars and really turn them up. And again, to go over the numbers, the stock Challenger is a 6.2 0 to 60, 14.6 in the quarter mile. I'm running a 5 flat 0 to 60, and I'm probably in the 13s in the quarter. I haven't got a chance to go to the drag strip yet. I think I want to say the Hemi is a 13.7 in the quarter. I think I'll be pretty close to that. You can see that I'm right there with it, a little bit quicker to 60. And I can improve my 0 to 60 with tires as well, but right now these are brand new tires, and I'm trying to make them last. So right now I'm not going to change the rear tires just to get a little bit more grip. I'll just continue to go, you know, half to 3/4 throttle on the start and then put it to the floor after I get rolling. And that works. I'm getting pretty good times with that. If, you know, I get too much wheel spin, eventually I'll probably go with wider tires if I end up supercharging or turbocharging the car. But I don't think I really, at this point, I don't really feel like I need anything more. I don't really feel like I need to do that. I'm pretty happy with the performance of the car, especially considering I have a couple more mods to do before I even think about supercharging or turbocharging or anything like that. I'd like to twin turbocharge the car, but I don't plan on doing that anytime soon. I have seen kits where they claim 506 horsepower to the wheels with just the turbo kit, no other mods, just the turbo kit on a stock Challenger V6, 506 to the wheels. So putting that kind of power down to the wheels, we know the car loses about 55 horsepower through the drive line. So that means that the engine would be putting out 560. The V6 would be putting out about 560 horsepower to put 506 to the wheels. It's losing about 55 horsepower through the transmission, the drive shaft, and the rear end. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive with twin turbos. But like I said, I've got a couple more mods to do before that. And the biggest one is going to be a tune. I don't have no tune on this car. It's not tuned. I'm running 93 octane just because it feels like the car likes it a lot more than the 87 with the mods I have on here. But it's not tuned at all yet. That's the biggest mod to do. Before the tune, I plan on doing some probably rip coil packs, but some kind of, if not rip, maybe MSD if they make them for this car, something like that. Better spark plugs and rip coil packs, or some kind of hotter coil pack, you know. After that, then I would do the tune, and you know, I'd have to, with these cars, you got to take the computer out, send it off, and have it unlocked and get it back and put the tune on, or you just buy the extra computer, you know, it's already unlocked, ECM or whatever they call it, and then you can go ahead and put your tune on it. When I had my Ram, I didn't have to do any of that. I just plug it in and tune it. But these newer vehicles, you got to send off the computer and have it unlocked. So that's part of the reason I haven't done it yet either. But first, main reason, I want to get all my mods on, and then I want to tune it all together at the same time. Tune it after I get all my mods, and the tune is your biggest mod usually. That's where you get the most power out of. So if I'm hitting a 5 flat now, you know, I should be doing really good after a tune. So that's a little recap of the throttle body, what I think of it. I definitely recommend it. It definitely makes a big difference. And I'm gonna throw her down in sport mode here and get a little bit more RPMs. We'll do a little, need to get a better gear. Do a little, this thing calms down a little bit. He didn't need to shift yet, damn it. Do a little 40 to 60 or something here. More like a 40 to 70 maybe, but it's hard to do trying to do everything and then do the shifters as well. Do the paddle shifters while I'm trying to hold the camera in place and everything, but I think you get the idea. Get turned around here. But yeah, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.